yet. Hopefully my computer's not crashing. Been having every time I kind of okay, we're on now. Every time I um upgrade my operating system, like the whole computer just grinds to a halt. Do you know what
Get
I
off
mean?
Windows.
Well, I've got an Apple, but it just
Oh,
seems
you
like
got a Mac and you're having issues?
yeah, but I think
Wow.
it's the old chip, right? It's not one of those new chips. So
Uh,
I think after a certain kind of operating system, it just doesn't work on the old. That's what I'm finding. Anyway, how's it going, Paul?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I wore my hat just for you, huh?
All right.
My corporate hat. That's a Discord jab that Paul made at me. Well, we were talking earlier about my Instagram, getting zapped by Instagram, and Paul said it was because I wore a corduroy hat.
Well, I had to come up with some theory.
I thought it was better than any of the other ones I was throwing out there. I was just totally reaching for like I had no idea what's going on. Hey Paul, do you want to talk about the jazz festival? Is it tonight, the last night?
Yeah, it's actually probably just wrapping up around now. I called it quits around 5, but
Okay.
yeah, so this was the Detroit Jazz Festival weekend.
Yeah.
So it's one of the largest, maybe the largest, free of charge jazz festival um, in the country. So they spread it out over 4 days, Labor Day weekend every year. So um, an opening night show with just headliners the first night, which unfortunately this year had to be moved. We were supposed to have storms come through with hail, so they moved it to a streaming only. With moved it to an indoor facility, streaming only, and they had. The headliner or the main draw that night was a tribute to Alice Coltrane that Ravi Coltrane and Brandy Younger had been working on,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which they streamed and I watched and it was great. Um, but
So originally that was going to be outside on
it was
the
going to be
one of the
outdoors,
main
yeah,
stages. Yeah.
yeah. And I was actually very fortunate the night before. So the indoor facility that they moved the show to was a local university's new jazz center, and I was
Okay.
fortunate enough to be able to go to the dedication of it, the grand opening of it the night before, and so I was able to hear Brandy Younger with her trio play on Alice's harp, doing Alice Coltrane tunes, Dorothy Ashby. Both of them were born in Detroit, so that was
Mm.
a really special thing. Leading up to the Jazz Fest, but it was actually particularly special. Hearing that instrument in the room. The room is just the acoustics of it are just phenomenal, and hearing just the
Wow.
resonance of the harp in that room was pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, cool. And what was the panel about? What were the kind of
Yeah, and the
what were the
panel was the night.
topics?
The panel was the night before that, but yeah, it was. So it's a conversation. Ashley Kahn moderated it. So he's written for Downbeat for a long time, and he
Mm.
wrote the Big Impulse book and Impulse, the House that Train Built, and he's written some other books. So he moderated this conversation. It was with Michelle Coltrane, who was Alice's daughter, and then Ravi, who was Alice and John's child, and then Reggie Workman. Played with both, I believe, and so a lot of it was really just talking about their memories of Alice, the significance of her work, the role of kind of Detroit as a place and
Mm.
how she developed as a musician, um, those sorts of things. It's on. I think that the video of it's going to be posted, so I'll
Yeah,
I'll
someone
be
was
sure.
asking about that online, weren't they?
Yeah, so I'll be sure to
Yeah.
share a link once I have that. But really interesting. So that was on Wednesday night. So really interesting panel discussion on Wednesday night.
Mm.
Grand opening of the facility on Thursday. It actually accidentally hosted the first night of the Detroit Jazz Festival on Friday, and then um, the real Detroit Jazz Festival outside started on Saturday. Then, so basically the setup is that there are 3 stages. One is in Cadillac Square, which is in the middle of downtown. Then there are 2 in the Riverfront Park, which is, I don't know, maybe 3 blocks, 3, 4 blocks away from
Mm.
Cadillac Square, something like that. And so they have the Cadillac Square, and there's one of the two stages in the park are sort of co-headlining stages, and then there's a smaller stage for more up and coming folks.
Okay.
So I was able to see there's some pretty cool stuff on.
And there's a stream too, isn't there?
Yeah,
I caught something a couple
yeah,
nights
and they
ago.
usually
Live
chop it up
stream.
afterwards, and you can find it on the YouTube.
Mhm.
You can find it on the YouTube channel for the Detroit Jazz Festival.
Mhm.
Um, I would say first day Charlie Sepulveda was really, really good. He's a kind of a Latin, Puerto Rican jazz musician um, from New York, who has a number of albums of his own. He has a new album coming out, which I think I'm going to definitely check out. But he also has a long history as a session musician. So, like he was on Istanbul, not Constantinople, Talking Heads, Naked, stuff like that.
Mhm.
He was really good. Earlier in the day, I'd seen Wendell Harrison and Tribe, which is a big Detroit act.
Yep.
So that was cool. Um, saw
And it's just like first come first serve kind of thing because it's not ticketed, right?
right. But it's a pretty big space, so I don't think anybody was turned away. There was also a new up and coming group I think they're actually out of Ann Arbor, not Detroit, but called Harmolodics. That I saw too. It was just a trio, bass, drums, and trumpet. But the trumpet was wired up through these pretty crazy electronics, so it was
Mm.
wild stuff, but really cool. So that was that. Um, Yesterday I saw I was just kind of around in the afternoon, but I saw James Blood Ulmer, who I've liked for a long time.
Wow. Yeah. How
And
old is he now then?
he's like 85 or something like that. So I mean, it's good to be able to catch him while you can.
Yeah.
And saw a little bit of a solo accordion kind of uh, improvisation guy, kind of guy. That was all right. And then Chief Ajua, who used to be Christian Scott, is
Mm.
what he formerly went under, but he's from New Orleans, but does kind of contemporary jazz. But he's also on this, he has this kind of personal mission, which is part of why he changed his name to sort of decolonize and re-Africanize his music. So he has a Ghanaian percussion player. He has a harp that he personally designed that kind of combines the features of a number of the instruments that would have been present in West Africa and influenced Africans who were in New Orleans. So that show was just amazing. I can't, if you have the chance to see him, do. And then today, what did I do today? I saw a local guy whose name escapes me, but kind of more traditional, like bop, kind of with a little bit of vocals thrown in. And I really went and saw them because I wanted to make sure I had a seat for the Zigzag Power Trio, which was, Vernon Reed from Living Color, Will Calhoun on drums, also from Living Color, and then Melvin Gibbs from Rollins Band. Although all those guys also played with, like Defunct and Decoding Society and groups like that. So that was phenomenal. So
they brought it, I'm assuming.
They brought it, right? And
heavy.
They're heavy, but it was also, those guys can play like it's nobody's business, and they're jazz musicians first and foremost, even if they're known for being in hard rock bands.
Yeah. Fabulous. So you've been really taking in such a great weekend too, right? Before the fall starts and all the school and everything that kind of restarts, right? To have that.
Well, and the cool thing about it being free too is like, I could have gone to see more, but if I'd had to buy tickets, I would have tried to tough it out for like every last second of the festival. But I was able to pick and choose the stuff that I really wanted to go to, and then take that in.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, thanks for updating us. That's awesome. I did think about going, but it was just too many things going on. around here. I'm taking a leave. I didn't tell you that, right, Paul? I've got my leave next year. I've got a 1 year leave. So I'm going to be in France for the year starting in May. So I'm looking forward to that, but we're going to have to kind of rent out our house, find someone for our house, and the place is a disaster, right? So we're just fixing every little thing in the house so that we can try to rent it. Anyway, if you guys, if anyone knows anyone who wants to rent a place in Toronto, let me know. So yeah, busy, a bit too busy to see some jazz. Anyway, um, Jeff, do you want to update us on what you've been up to? I know we talked briefly before we went live, but
I
just
went
kind
down
of.
to the festival too.
Oh, you did. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I was down there Saturday, and I was only there briefly. We weren't really planning on going. We went down to do some shopping at the Eastern Market,
Mm,
and I ran into Paul at a record store, and so we decided to hoof it over there. And the Ron
I
English band was playing, and he's a really good Detroit guitar player.
cool.
And so he was in a quintet. So I sat there and watched that. And of course, it was like 90 degrees the day I was there, so we were all like baking in the sun. And
Getting
but it was a good
overheated.
time. Had some really good food. They had some street vendors in there. You had to pay up a little bit because it's a festival, but
Yeah,
but it was a good
yeah,
time.
that's the way it is. All right, cool. Well,
This summer, I've been kind of chilling. Buying records like I always do, but haven't really been
yeah,
doing a whole lot, working a lot.
I actually went to the countryside and managed to find records. That's pretty bad. Isn't it? Some guy was kind of you know opened up a record store in his garage in about 3 hours away from Toronto. So it popped up on my Google Maps. I went and checked it out. There's a sign kind of a mile away, and then you drive up and there's this house, but there's no sign of a record store. It's just like this suburban house, right? So I'd kind of pulled up and just thinking, should I go knock on the door? And then he finally comes out, and at the back of his garage, he's got this killer collection. It's all of his stuff, and then he's starting to kind of do backfill, right, to try to make a go of it. So he had actually had a ton of kind of Motown and soul, a lot of stuff that I saw when I was down in Detroit, of course. And he was like, "Oh, what are you looking for?" And I said, "Oh, mostly jazz." And then he was like, "Oh, hang on, I'll go to the house." And he came back with like, a stack of Blue Note like this. Just so I wasn't quite expecting that. I was expecting to kind of jump in the lake and whatever, fire at the barbecue, but ended up having a pretty cool dig, in the countryside. So I'm hoping to interview the guy actually, but he's obviously pretty busy. But
You always have to check out every record shop, though. You never know what you're gonna find.
kind of hard, yeah. So anyway, I'm just going to show a few things that I've found over the last couple of weeks actually, and then maybe we can kind of get into. I thought it's the end of the summer. Maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been focusing on this summer for our collection. Maybe some things that have been on our want list for a while, or some of the rabbit holes. I think I may have used that. Um, use that term. Anyway, so let me show just a few things that I found actually in the countryside over my holiday. Some of this I talked about on my video where I talked a little bit about getting dumped off of Instagram. Anyway, this actually is Joe Farrell, very well known, of course, from a whole bunch of different bands. I love his early 70s CTI collection, but does anyone have, do you have this one, Paul? It's from 79, but isn't that I don't know, just check it out.
Xanadu.
It's Xanadu, exactly, yeah. But what a crazy cover. This friend of mine is a skateboarder, so he had this and showed it to me, but Chick Corea's on that. 79, sorry, that's not very good, is it? Rip. So I had to pick that up. That's just, a $10 LP 79. Sounds great. Sounds really great. This when you were here, Paul, did you go to Sonic Boom that big store on yeah, yeah, but it's the kind of place, I don't know if you remember, there's a lot in there, and you got to dig a lot. And I found that one of the things about that store, is this one in downtown Toronto, is that if you find something that doesn't have a plastic cover on it, sometimes you can get a deal. Look at, and this is really odd because it didn't have a plastic cover. This is a '58 original um, on Atlantic, and well, you can see there's a little bit of foxing on the back, but otherwise it's a beautiful copy. And there's the original with the deep groove.
Yeah, that beautiful black label.
Yeah, it's one of those, cases where you look at it and there's tons of scuffs on it, but nothing that makes any noise. So I brought it
That's
home.
good. That's a soft record too. It's a trio record.
Exactly, exactly. And so that's what I was thinking. Oh man, there's a lot of scuffs on this. I could take this home and it could be a horror show, right? Um, but it was 10 Canadian dollars. And I brought it home and cleaned it, and it's beautiful. A beautiful, beautiful album. So been reissued a lot, but I was stunned to find out that it was an original when
Yeah,
I
nice
brought it
rap.
home.
I had the VMP of that. I play it quite often. It's kind of like
Yeah.
starting out the day at work with my cup of coffee when I'm working from home.
There's something, yeah, I don't know if you feel like that, but for me, that was one of my little rabbit holes this summer, was kind of trios, was trying to find some of that sweet spot, like 58, 59, 60 trios. And that one I think is one of my favorite. This is a completist story. This one, I don't know why I haven't had this. Just never have. Got this in a local store. Beautiful shape. I talked a little bit before, a couple months ago, about Spartan. Do you guys have any of the Spartan Impulse? It's the Canadian
I haven't
imprint.
seen them.
And at the time, like 3 months ago, I was like, everyone should look for this Spartan label, because they you can't see it, but there's a Van Gelder stamp on this. They sound absolutely fantastic, and they're normally about a quarter of the price. Having said that, this was not a quarter of the price. It was probably maybe half the price. So,
Well, I found a shop over at a new shop in Windsor that I've been following their Instagram, and they seem to have pretty good jazz. So I was thinking about driving over there and seeing if I can find any of those.
do you remember the name of it, Paul? Was it the one
Favorable
that we
exchange,
talked
right?
about? The one on
Uh,
the main drag there
it's called
in Windsor?
Going Through Vinyl. I think it's a little bit off the beaten path.
Okay, it's not the one I went to then. Is it new, or maybe I just didn't see it when I was
I
down
don't,
there?
well, I've been looking at shops over there for a while, and I don't remember having seen it, and I just discovered it, but it could have been
Mm,
around. I don't know.
mm. Here's one from that
One
that
coffee tastes better in Windsor. Just saying.
yeah. Here's the one. Here's another trio. This is a beautiful one. This is one I got in the countryside over
It's a
the
great
summer.
record.
Walter Bishop, Jimmy Garrison, JT Hogan on drums. It's a blue label. And this again sounds absolutely fantastic. It's a Canadian version of Jazz Time. Absolutely stunning. This I think was probably my favorite album that I've bought over the last month or two. It just sounds so beautiful. So that was again a summer buy. I think the Wax showed this one the other day, and again that was also from Sonic Boom, and didn't have a plastic cover. It was like $12. And I think this goes for about $30 or $40 online. Black Saint, so an original Italian. That's a fabulous album. Really, really kicks. Yeah.
Who's on that? Who's on that, OJ?
Who's on that? It's just the two of them.
Is that Max Roach?
Roach. Yeah. Roach and Braxton. Yeah, it's just the two of them. So it's a very interesting recording.
It looks like late 70s then.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah, by their age. And also Black Saint so it's 78.
Okay.
Yeah, Italian
That's
version.
cool.
So it's a hard one to find, actually, or at least it is up here.
I don't run into those where I dig.
Black Saint.
No.
Yeah,
You ever
we
see 'em,
get.
Paul?
I see them pretty regularly.
You do, huh?
Must be gone when I go through the bins.
Maybe I got them all.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, we need more thumbs up. Thanks, John. Um, yeah, there's a big Italian consulate in Toronto. So I've kind of made friends with some folks there, and so whenever they get called back to Italy, anyway, that's my secret little
The
gig.
books.
Yeah, so where did I get that one? Now this one was also in at Deserters Records out in Prince Edward County, again a couple hours away from Toronto. That's a Japanese version. That's a beautiful copy. You let that go pretty easily. That one as well.
Is that a first press?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Nice. That one's not too expensive. I think you can
No,
find that for
I just bought that too. It's in my
$25, $30. Yeah, funny. Okay, and then we were talking about this last time, weren't we, Jeff? Right, the inner city. And I don't know, I zoned out, so I got a second copy. I don't know. Do you need that one, or do you have it?
I do not have that.
Oh, okay. All right. If you want to, let me know. Let's talk afterwards. So there's
That'd
this
be
one.
great. Jackie McLean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I need to look at my other copies, but there's a really great write-up on the back where they give a history of his week in Copenhagen, right? So they kind of go through all of the so there's the Ode to Super, right?
Is his son playing with him on that?
On this one? No,
Yeah.
this one's Kenny Drew.
Oh, Kenny
and then
Drew.
Niels Henning. Can you see that?
Yeah, the heavy hitters of Steeplechase.
Exactly. Yeah. They're on quite a bit of stuff. But yeah, so he recorded what? So Altissimo. I don't have that one on the 15th. On the 17th, he did Ode to Super, which I have here. I can show it in a second with Gary Bartz. That's kind of a harder one to find, I've found. And then he did he did this on the 18th and 19th. The 20th and 21st, he did The Meeting and The Source, the Dexter Gordon ones, which I think, Jeff, you were showing. So
yeah,
how many albums is that? So he had a pretty busy week. Anyway, let's talk if you want that. I can been wanting to check out a new Courier actually, so we can talk later about that. But yeah, here's the other one. That one's do you guys have that one?
No.
Yeah, that one is surprisingly harder to find. That one's on Steeplechase as well. I haven't seen that around. It's good, but it's kind of a mixed genre. There's some really great funky stuff on here, and then there's some hard bop, and so I don't play it as much. It's interesting. I like it, but again, I find it's not a consistent album, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, I have trouble sometimes with Gary Bartz. I have to admit, like that VMP that they released at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, the Another World.
The first side of it I can't even listen to. The second side I like. But man, I think it's just a little too out for my ears right now.
They've really dropped the price on that. I've been saying.
Oh, the VMP's cash poor. They're starting to. I don't know if they're going to make it.
It doesn't sound good, does it? Yeah. Anyway,
it's unfortunate.
Does someone want to jump in then? So those are just my. There's not a huge set of themes there, but I thought I would just kind of show those ones because those are the ones I'm kind of been playing over the last week or so.
Well, since we last met, I've been down to Detroit 3 times, and I pulled the good stuff, including what I just got this weekend. It's right here. So I can go up, Paul, or you can go up.
Go for it.
All right. So, like I said, went down to People's Records this weekend in Detroit, Michigan. And whenever I'm in People's and I see these Pablos clean, I always buy them. So this is just a trio, and they're like $5 at People's. They're starting to creep up a little bit. I don't know if you notice that, Paul. They're starting to sell
Yeah,
them out for like $8 to $10. They're not.
yeah, more towards 10.
Yeah, they're not always 5 anymore. I guess I should stop talking them up. But anyhow, I bought that. And talk about rabbit holes. You're going to start seeing the rabbit hole that I've been going down in Detroit. And it all starts with Verve. I have been buying a lot of
What
Verve.
a cool cover, huh? I've never seen that Oscar Peterson.
Yeah, this is one of the Oscar Peterson records.
So cool.
He did 16 of them in 1959 for Verve, and this is one of them.
Mm.
And that's the label I'm going after right there, the trumpet.
Yeah, that's
trumpet
sweet.
label.
They're doing a big tribute to him here in Toronto, right? Because he's from here next summer.
This is an excellent record if you see it. And this is the one on the Discord I was saying that I only got, it's like it cost me $8. But that, I guess, is Detroit prices is what I've been told. And then I bought this when I was there. Again, this is a series that I've really been getting into. It's these Clef by Verve. So these are from the late 50s into 1960, and these are Norman Granz basically reissuing his Norgram and Clef 10 inches, and that's what this is. This is 2 10 inches, and it's got the yellow trumpet label, which I thought was pretty cool. So I don't know much about this one. I just bought it because I'm grabbing all these when they're super clean.
So you haven't listened to it yet?
No, it's like, I want to say it's a sax player on the first side and then a French pianist. So Bernard Pfeiffer trio on the second, and then it's I can't think of the one of the bebop or swing guys. I can't think of his name right now. And then I got this. I've been really buying up Riversides when I see them. And this was a pleasant surprise when I saw this in the bins. So this is a second press. You can tell by the ink. So I was real happy to find that. And then I found this. This is a cool record. I don't know if you guys know this.
I've seen it a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't heard it though.
John Clemmer, he's more he kind of more gets a lot of bashing because he kind of got into that smooth jazz stuff, in the 70s. This is a bop record. It's on Cadet. And what's really interesting about it, and I didn't realize it at the time, but apparently Cadet promos are this label cover color. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So was that were these from the boxes and boxes they had at People's that just said jazz on the front? I think they posted
No, the only thing I pulled out of that was that Ray Bryant. All these were up front.
Oh, okay. By the cash? Yeah.
Yeah, the contents of those boxes were mostly not that interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they pulled stuff out of the bins and put them up there to try to get rid of them.
Got it.
But this has got Melvin Jackson on it on bass, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Sweet.
And then this is a pretty famous record right here. This is a reissue. So
this is the original. What's the cover? The original looks different, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a different cover. It's this is the reissue on the Bergenfield Prestige. And it's pretty beat up. It's a solid VG. Plays with a little noise, but it's got RBG. And this is his, I think this is, I want to say these are 2 10 inches. So he's got Warren Marsh on one side, and then he's with Lenny Tristano. But this is the birth of the cool stuff. And I've been really kind of getting into the cool jazz a little bit, a little bit more. So I've been running into it.
You're mellowing out on this, Jeff?
I don't know about that. I'm like really going back into the 50s. It seems like that's all I've been listening to for the last 2 months is just 50s jazz. Not so much on the 60s.
Yeah.
And I can show a few more that
getting into the swing. Some of the swing stuff I like from the late 50s, right?
More bebop, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Small group mostly. Some Ellington, but mostly small group. And this is another one that I found at People's.
Wow.
This
Nice.
is minty fresh right here.
Mm.
Again, that cool. This is a stereo, but I had to buy it. I mean, it is stone cold mint.
Mm.
And then this is one of my favorite finds of the summer right here. Look at that.
With Ben Webster. Yeah. What
It's
year
the
is that
original
one?
cover.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah.
That was sitting in the new arrival bin in July, Paul.
Hmm.
I was just like, yes, thank you. So I paid up a little bit for this one. So that's a really cool find. Again, it's like mint. And this is the rabbit hole I've been going down. I mean, look at that.
Nice.
Yep.
These old verbs. Been buying a lot of them when I see them.
Nice. Paul, you should jump in. Let's get you
Yeah.
up here. There we go.
All right, so I filed away a lot of my good stuff, but I had a few things laying out I can show. So Steve Lacy's, Steve Potts. Scooch over there.
What's the label of that one?
That is West Wind. It's a German label.
Okay.
Where did you find that one at, Paul?
In People's.
Wow.
I could tell by the price tag. Yeah.
Another People's.
That's a cool record. I've been wanting to get into him.
Those early to mid 70s Gattos are pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Argentina.
Here's actually a new release by a current group, or current musicians at least, from Detroit, called Quartet Now. So it has this baritone sax player named Alex Harding, who's pretty cool. He's played with like Kahil El-Zabar and Hamiet Blewett.
Mm-hmm.
Then Vincent Chandler, who's a trombone player, is also part of the quartet. But I haven't listened to it yet, but it should be pretty cool. This is a cheap one, but kind of cool. White label promo, Heath Brothers.
Yeah.
GP.
That's awesome.
What else do we have here? Yeah. The Sun Ra Batman record.
Classic.
Yeah, that is a classic. I saw that when I was on vacation in LA. They had it on the wall at Atomic Records.
I found it in a booth, so at I don't know if you've ever been to Vintage Eastern Market. It's on one of the side streets.
Mm-hmm.
They have on Saturdays. They have people have booths in the back, in the courtyard behind it. I found it back there for like $10. So
Didn't know what they had, did they?
Yeah.
That's a great record.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yeah, McDuff has been one of my rabbit holes this summer.
Yeah, I've been buying his band with Dukes, Holloway, and George.
Yeah, that's
that band right there. I don't have that one yet.
Yeah, and there's another one that came out right after that that's similar cover but with blue and green lettering instead of the red and orange. It's also, I think, worth.
I put one back. People's has got that second one, the second live record with that lineup. Yeah, I put it back Saturday. I don't know if you saw it there.
Mm-mm.
They only wanted $15 for
it. This was a blind buy at a garage sale, but it's a Dutch piano.
Kind of looks like a psychedelic kind of ECM cover.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it wouldn't be out of place with next to some of Keith Jarrett's stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually, it was pretty good find for $1. Here's a newer one. Yeah, okay, Tamiz.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, so he's a Turkish percussion guy. So this is a new one that he did with. I have no idea, and I don't know anything about Island Man, but it's a cool record.
So that's just come out, has it?
Yeah, maybe a year ago.
Okay.
What else do I have here? Frank Morgan.
I've had that record.
Yeah. Cecil Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if they're reasonable price, I almost always grab those Rest of Freedoms.
those.
I don't know
That's
that.
that's such an interesting label, isn't it?
Mhm.
I tried to pick up the original ones. That I find that the reissues. I don't know. I find that the quality of the sound is not great on the reissues of those, but
Yeah, I
the
haven't heard
original
that many.
French ones, I've had very good luck with them. You know.
Yeah, people seems to get those. I mean, not all the time, but with some regularity.
Yeah.
Here's kind of a cool one. Another Steve Lacy, but it's one on Hat Hut.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a double?
The
No,
boss.
they all the Hat Huts came in these boxes.
Oh,
Only a single
I've
record.
not run into that
No,
label.
no, I take it back. This one is a double, but I have others with a box like that. There's
Is that Italian? It is, isn't it,
a
Paul?
Swiss.
Oh,
Swiss.
Swiss. Okay. All right. You see those around town quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, let me go. I'm gonna do one medium deep dive. I've showed one or two of these before, but this is my favorite Japanese trumpeter. I've already given it away. Hang on one second. There we go. I don't know when I first started getting into them, but Teru Masahino. Let me see. A couple of them I picked up when I was in Japan earlier this year. This is this you don't see it too much actually. This one I didn't buy in Japan. This one I bought in London at a place called Vinyl Delivery Service. So VDS. Check them out online or on Discogs. They usually have pretty good prices,
Hmm.
or check them out on Instagram. They get consistently really good stuff, and I find that their shipping costs and whatnot are and the quality of the LPs are always really good. Like the OB is in really great shape. So yeah, so that actually I picked up in London. That wasn't a buy. This one I did pick up in when I was overseas in Tokyo. Sorry, that's a bit better. And that's one that you don't see as much in North America.
Right.
Wait, what year is that? I was surprised. It's the 75. So 75 is always a little bit of a 75, 76 things start to get a bit weird, start to kind of move into disco a little bit, speak to loneliness. But this is a beautiful one. So if you're kind of like me and start to get a little bit nervous in the mid 70s, don't be nervous at all. This is a killer album. This one I think I may have showed that one before when last time we got together. That one's on
Great
Inner
record.
City. Yeah. And this is the one that I wanted to get when I was in Tokyo and ask almost every store owner, and they all kind of laughed at me and were like, "Get out of here, silly foreigner." With the pianist Kikuchi, and that's beautiful. I actually scoured the internet and found a really nice copy for a reasonable price. And then this one is from '69, and has gotten to be quite pricey actually. So I picked that one up in Kyoto. There we go. So yeah, so those are just a few of his LPs that
I
I've
picked up
kind of been.
three of his records this summer. So I got one that I think it came out mid-70s, but it was recorded live at the Berlin Jazz Festival in
Oh,
72.
that's right. I saw you post that one. That one's gotten quite expensive.
That one's good.
Yeah,
And then
he cooks on that one. Yeah.
I got two that I think are from the early 80s, maybe late 70s.
Okay.
So Double Rainbow and Daydream. And Daydream, if you're scared of disco and smooth jazz, pass
Don't
on
go
that
there.
one.
Don't go
Don't go
there.
there.
Yeah. Don't go there.
But Double Rainbow is quite good, and that was actually I think 81. It's the latter of the two.
I'm not afraid of it. Some of it's good, and I've got some pretty good, like Ramsey Lewis. That's pretty funky, starting to get into
Just
disco a
like
little bit,
CTI.
right?
Well,
But it's awesome.
well,
Deodato on CTI,
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Valley put together a top 10 smooth jazz record list that he posted on the Discord earlier in the summer, and
Mm.
I went out and found, I don't know, not all of them, but many of them, and there's pretty good stuff on there. Go back through through the archives. There's some worthwhile titles there.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to chill.
Yeah, well, sometimes
You had a
sometimes
tough summer, Jeff. No,
well,
it's true. I hear you. Yeah,
It
yeah,
depends,
chill funk sometimes isn't saccharine, right? So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I've
No,
been
I
getting
hear you.
into that's the late '60s soul jazz. I've been listening to a lot of prestige soul jazz too.
yep.
Um,
I'm waiting on a couple of Gene Ammons
yeah,
LPs that I bought online too, and some of his late 50s, early 60s is very chill music, isn't it? That'll put you in a good mood. Pretty some baby making kind of music thrown in there too, right? So
absolutely.
yeah. So I'm looking forward for that stuff to arrive as well. Yeah, I've been buying more stuff online just because I've been traveling so much, and I just kind of get the sense that prices for certain things have dropped a little bit
They're
over the.
starting to come down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, is that your sense too? Yeah, I really I feel like there's that usually when you go online, there's not a big variation in prices. Now I'm finding for some of the stuff that you were talking about, Jeff, like late 50s stuff, you can find some good reissues from one or two sellers that are a good 30% cheaper than the kind of everyone else. So when I see that again, usually overseas in Japan. Then, but I bought one of the what Gene Ammons' first LP. What's that one called again? Um, anyway, it's that was an American first issue that I bought off a guy in Japan for a good 30-40% cheaper than what everyone else is selling it for. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually just bought a bunch of records from Funky Sound last weekend. They had a big jazz auction. I actually was able to hit some.
mm,
Usually when I'm going after desirable titles, I get bid out because, I'll wait. But,
yeah.
I was actually able to get a run of records from them.
Mm,
Now I was going at again. I was basically going after the Max Roach, Clifford Brown group. So
yeah.
and a few other. I wasn't going after the Blue Notes. I won't
Mm,
pay eBay prices for a lot of that stuff.
yeah. That's
People
it.
get excited.
yeah. I hardly ever do jazz buying online. I mean, I figure just being opportunistic here, I can find more than I'll ever need. Um,
Yeah,
but when I do try to buy online, it's usually things that I hear on Stunty Stream, and then um, the prices are what they are, but almost always it's European sellers, and the postage is just the shipping is just prohibitive.
yeah. I typically stick to a couple sellers on eBay anymore. And that's usually what I stick to. So there's like 3 sellers when they do jazz auctions. I'll check them out. That's about it. Because I'm like you, Paul. I mean, I know I'll find it in the shop eventually. You
Yeah,
know, and for less money, be honest. Because it's like that. Some of these records I've still got to show. I mean, if people out there, if you look them up on Discogs, I didn't pay near. I didn't pay near that.
Yeah. No, the stuff that I've been buying that I was telling you that's come from Japan is
I've been
is definitely under the medium price. So
I've been
I don't.
thinking about doing the Face Records auctions because everyone, a lot of people in the jazz bum community talk about how you can get some really good deals off Face.
6.99.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of them don't go.
yeah. I've done that before, and and at first, I mean, you have to get yourself past the shipping price, right? But if you think about like what you can actually get the record for, and then average the shipping across the lot, it's usually a pretty good deal.
Because like I was thinking, my strategy is to go after like Savoy and Bethlehem, maybe Jubilee, because I can't find those. And when I do find them, they're just beat the hell up and they don't sound good.
Hmm.
And Savoy, again, I'm into that bebopper stuff right now, and there's just some great sides there.
Yeah. Are you
It's like
traveling? Are you traveling this fall, Paul? Are you traveling at all?
Yeah, I've got a couple trips in October, but not a whole lot.
Anywhere to buy
Yeah,
to go digging?
yeah, Portland.
Portland. I've never been to Portland. Okay.
Portland has some. I used to live in the Pacific Northwest, and
Okay.
so I've shopped there many a time, and there's some really great stores in Portland. In particular, I particularly like Mississippi Records and Little Axe. Little Axe is great jazz, also great like African and reggae sections.
isn't there like a famous big used record store there that has just a ton of used records?
Yeah, there's a place. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Oh, a lot of people on YouTube always post about it.
Yeah, it's like a vendor mall, but it's just records.
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
And that's just, I mean, that I'm sure you can find stuff there, but when you have limited time, going to the more curated shops,
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. So Portland and where else?
North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. There's a lot of shops around there too, isn't there?
Yeah, my schedule's a little bit more packed there, so I don't know if I'll how much time I'll have to go explore, but
What's the guy's name that's always on the Jazz Bum stream? He lives in Raleigh, doesn't he?
Oh, Dave, right?
Yeah, Dave. Yeah,
I think he's in Charlotte.
Oh, he's in Charlotte.
Yeah, he's got a good collection, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
Always talking about something, and it's like, here
does.
it is. Yeah, he's got a great collection. Yeah, I'm heading to London for a couple weeks at the end of the month. So I'm hoping to. There's some more interesting shops I find kind of in the East End. I don't know. Have you guys ever been the East End of London, like Dalston and Hackney? There's some really interesting, like a lot of kind of DJ shops. There's no plastic. Everything is just, you're going through the covers, and you can find a lot of really interesting stuff. 2 or 3 shops there, so that I usually kind of stick around there and just go and chat up the guy, and he'll always say, I've got, there's some stuff coming in on the weekend, and so they're really friendly. I'm like, oh, if there's any jazz, I'll come in early, and he'll like, oh, I'll put it to the side, and then after I see you, I'll put it out. So yeah, all that stuff. Like I know Mazzy was in London, and I watched a couple of his videos and saw the, the major ones down the West End there that are kind of expensive. Where the Oasis picture is and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And surge pricing, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna stick it out in the East End, do some work down there, and hit up the small shops where you can find some good prices, right?
See, I would just be buying punk records if I go to London. That's what
I buy a lot of 45s there. Actually, I like to buy the old two-tone stuff there. And my parents are in the UK too, and there's a shop in the small village where they live as well, and the guy's got everything, all the two-tone, like all the 78 to 82 45s from all the punk and ska bands, and he was just like, Greg, next time when you're here, just let me know and I'll bring it in from home, right? And so,
yeah, last time I was in the UK, I was in Liverpool and had pretty good luck finding roots reggae stuff there.
Yeah, the best place for that is down in Brixton. It's easy to get down there too on the tube. There's a couple 2 or 3 good record shops down there as well.
Have you ever been to the shops in Manchester?
No, and it's funny because Manchester's only about
there?
an hour away from where my parents live, but I used to work in Manchester for a while. I had a visiting appointment there for a little while, but it's been like 15 years since I've been there.
Factory records, so you get your order, Joy Division, the Smiths,
Yeah, presumably.
Oasis. I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah. But most of the stuff that I'm finding is coming up from London now.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of the London scene. Oddly, even because
isn't that where everyone lives there, right? In England, isn't that where pretty much the whole population is in London?
not so much. I get, yeah, it is. You know, it's like Paris. It's
Big mega
the
city,
one big
right?
mega city. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, no, you can find good stores all over. Leeds has a really good music, all music history. So there's some really great stores around there. Where else have I been? So yeah, but I tend to, most of my work is in London, so I usually stick around London. Bristol's very good. You know, you get off the beaten path and you find some. Brighton is very good. You know, that's a great place to go. There's, I don't know how many stores there are down there. Even like you get off the train, you walk into the town, and there's like 5 or 6 stores, boom, 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 right next to
I
each
think
other. So
Bristol right now has a lot of jazz going on, and they have a deep
yeah,
history with electronic and that
uh,
sort of thing as well.
trip hop and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and yeah, a couple of my friends just moved to Bristol. So yeah, it's a fun place to go digging for sure. Lots of different stuff. And yeah, you're right, Jeff. Like if you want to find, I tend to pick up a couple punk albums when I'm there too. But yeah, I've been doing more collecting around kind of the ska and the specials and the 45s and things like that, because you can still get them for £8 or something, whatever, $14, and you can stuff more of them in your baggage, right? So
Yeah, I got to be in Chicago, I think, in October. So I was gonna check some stuff out when I'm down there.
yeah, that'd be.
I haven't been down. I haven't been to Chicagoland in a while.
Well, Dusty Groove for sure.
Yeah, Dusty Grooves. I was thinking Bob's Jazz Center. I guess the Sun took it over.
Hmm.
And then there's that shop on the west side of town that it's kind of in a rougher area of Chicago. I heard they're really good for records.
Mm.
Some of the guys, because I got transferred onto a new team, and they're all out of Chicago, and I'm like the only guy in Michigan. So I have to go down there once in a while. I've been putting it off for all summer.
Are you driving or are you flying?
Oh, I'll drive.
How long is that? That's a bit of a haul, isn't it? 4.5 hours?
3.5 hours probably.
Oh, that's not so bad.
That's nothing in the States, man.
I live in Canada, man.
I know.
What are you trying to say, man?
You're kind of American up there in Canada. You guys got highways and stuff. It's not.
We got highways. We burn petrol in our cars, gas.
It's not like
cars,
Europe,
so.
where no one owns a car because they don't have to. That'd be kind of a luxury. But.
I'd like to get rid of my car. In fact, I don't really need. The only reason I have a car is to go biking out of the city or to go skiing on weekends. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have a car. Actually, So
yeah, actually, when I went to Toronto, I would have taken the train, except I was visiting some friends out in the country beforehand. But it would be so easy to just cross the bridge to Windsor and take the train the rest of the way.
That's true. Yeah, there's the Via train goes like our version of the Amtrak. Yeah. So and it's I think it's about a 4-hour train ride. It's not bad. In fact, when I did come down to Windsor, Detroit, I was going to take the train down. But then you go to Detroit, you need a car, right? I guess you could just go, if you're just going to People's, you could just pop over, jump into a taxi, and then hang out. But
I think there's a bus that goes to the tunnel.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was younger in my university days. Yeah. So it's always bizarre how quick it is, right? To get through the tunnel. Someone's bleeping me. Sorry. I think we missed Chris. Chris was here, but I think we missed him. But yeah. So I hopefully might be down in November, heading out to Vancouver as well. So I was talking to John about that out in Vancouver. So might see, hoping to see Rachel when I'm out there. Actually, I saw that she was running a stream tonight as well. So might have something to report on that. So that'll be fun. Hopefully. Looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm probably gonna call it a night, fellas.
Alrighty.
Sounds good.
It's my first day of work back tomorrow, so I got to do some stuff. Take care of the business. Got to pay some bills.
Yeah, we
But
had a long weekend, so we're going back to work tomorrow.
back to work. Exactly. Anyway, it was great to see you guys again.
Yeah, likewise.
And as always, let me know if you're up in Toronto. But otherwise, I'll be in touch. We'll chat again another evening.
Alrighty.
All right.
I'll always
Take
have
care.
new records, so
Yeah,
see you
exactly.
guys.
Likewise. See ya.
Bye.